up, YouTube? Welcome back to Paint Points. It's that man, Abu. It's brother man. And today we got a little video on the coordinator being changed for the Colorado Buffaloes, man. Like, we knew this change needed to happen a whole lot sooner, but we're not here to complain about shit. We're just here to react to some shit. So shout out the Buff, shout out Coach Prime for actually making this move and understanding this move is something that needed to be made, man. You know what I'm saying? When you look at Coach Prime and his coaches that he's had since he's been at Colorado, you can tell that his coaches ain't on the same time that he is. So how do you hire? Look, hey, there's nothing wrong with a yin and yang relationship. There's nothing wrong with having, different contrasting styles, different contrasting ideologies in the same room. But these guys had to do one thing. They had to be comfortable with the camera, man. They gotta be comfortable with being on the spotlight. They gotta be comfortable with the pressure that come with coaching under a guy like Deion Sanders. If you got all that pressure as a D coordinator, as an offensive coordinator, what you think the big man, what you think Deion, what kind of pressure he got? You dig what I'm saying? So that's what really got me with the whole, Deion regime while he's been at Colorado, is that I don't feel like he's hired guys in those top roles that really fit his same vision, you know what I'm saying, for what he sees for this team moving forward. So, I know this happened a couple of days ago, whatever, but we're going to check it out, give you some insight on what I believe about, Coach Rob Livingston. If you ask me, he's a good guy, but not the right man for the job. He's a good coach, but he's not the right man to be coaching at CU under Coach Sanders, man. And I just got to say it, how it is and how it looks and how I see it. He was never the right man for the job. Yeah, he came with, credentials. Yeah, he came with the knowledge that, y'all may have needed, but he probably could have came in as a consultant. Shit, pay that nigga consultant fees, god damn it. But he was never the man for the job, bro. And a lot of times, I don't want to talk about culture because you could get old white guys to come in on that timing. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta, I think you gotta be clear with a guy like Rob Livingston. Let him know that he could come in and he can remain himself, but he also gotta tune into another mode as well and turn it up a couple notches because the cameras are on, they never off, and it's time to go every time. You know what I'm saying? So let's check out, a little something that we saw about Rob Livingston. About him being a good man but not the right fit for CU. You know what I'm saying? So, Rob Livingston was widely, respected as a genuine, hard-working coach. Some players and staff consistently describe him as a good guy with good character. His move to the Denver Broncos as a D coordinator and secondary coach. He's the defensive pass game coordinator for the Broncos now, and a secondary coach for the Broncos. So he's no longer with the CU Buffs, as noted. But it does reflect on his reputation. It does reflect that, hey, he could bounce back and forth with the same respect. And to be honest, I think he actually was a pass game coordinator and secondary coach for the Bengals before he went to Colorado. You know what I'm saying? But Colorado under Deion Sanders is different. It's a different ecosystem. It's one where you must be comfortable being uncomfortable. The spotlight is relentless, like we said before. And, expectations are very high, and the cameras never turn off, like we said before. You know what I'm saying? The environment is loud, it's bright, it's pressure-packed everywhere you go. Imagine having the cameras on everywhere you go, man. You gotta, the camera's gonna see the real you, whether you shy away from it or not. So you gotta understand, coming into this role, Rob Livingston, that, a different you would have had to bring something else out of you than you brought before. You were expected to perform at a very high level, something that you may or not have been expected to perform at being a pass game coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals at the time. Now being a D coordinator, that's the pressure, but being a D coordinator for the Colorado Buffaloes under Deion Sanders is an entirely different situation. So you gotta understand that. You gotta be able to command the room and the moment, and I feel like he never did that. You know what I'm saying? Him and Deion had that one spat on the sideline with Deion trying to cover Deion, bro. When Deion say the shit he be saying, like, bro, you think we stupid, man? We know y'all had an issue, whether y'all had an issue with personnel, fit, ideology, whatever, bro. We've been seeing it. We've been seeing the issues, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, me personally, I'm not an expert. I'm not a coach at that level, but you know, running at four linemen, at 4D linemen every single time basically is, I don't know, man. Blitzing was, very, very rare. You got to take some chances, man. That's what happens. A lot of these coaches come into these positions and they run plays where the players have to make a play, where, the D corner can never be blamed for a situation because it's like, all right, I called the right play for the right situation. But the ebbs and flows of the game, you might have should have called a different play. You might have should have called something that's going to put more pressure on that quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when you call plays that put pressure on the quarterback, that means you're leaving, holes down the field. But if you call the right play and it gets to it, then it becomes the right play. And if it goes the other way where, goes badly, the D coordinator is then blamed for calling, stupid blitzes and not being able to, call situational plays in the right way. But, man, in order to be great, man, you got to take chances, man. You can't rely on your laurels. You can't just say, hey, let me call the right play and my player's going to do. Nah, you got to know the tendency of your players, man. You got to know, hey, my cornerback got about like 3 in him, man. I got to go ahead and, snap in and call this play to get him free. You got to understand what's going on. So when you look at Rob Livingston, he was he had a much quieter, steady demeanor. Simply didn't align with the Showtime nature of Colorado, man. And that could be seen from the jump. That doesn't diminish his coaching ability, like I said before, because as you can see, he got another job right away. It just means his strengths translate better to the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Where the environment is more controlled and the spotlight is shared upon everybody else. Now let's flip over to the new D coordinator, because I think that we made the right move